Welcome back to another episode of Going In Deep, broadcast from Uranus, the official podcast for the Uranus Awards. Hilarious, I know. My name is Xander Kozak, and I am joined by my co-host, Mike.
Yo, what's up?
Mike Freund. And today we don't have Max Joseph here. He has been given the exciting opportunity to perform in West Side Story, and he'll be gone for the next couple of episodes. But very exciting, we have a special guest with us, my dear friend Joshua Patriarco. How's it going, Josh?
Ooh-ah.
That's what Josh sounds
Going
like.
great, my friend.
So, Josh, would you please take this opportunity to introduce yourself, tell the audience a little bit about you?
So formal. I feel so put on the spot. I don't like talking about myself. I act, I direct, I write, I sing a little, I produce, and I clap my feet on occasion.
Is that right?
So if the other things don't work out, there's always the circus.
And you just finished directing a movie, is that right?
I did, called Vicarious Vitriol, starring the gentleman to my right, who is speaking to me at present.
Who's that?
That would be you, sir.
Oh my God,
wow.
it's me?
It's you!
I was in a movie?
You were!
Oh my
and there was
God.
cameras and other actors and gremlins.
Excellent, excellent. So, if anybody was interested by that amazing introduction you just gave, where could they find you online?
I at Shattered Prism Pics, my YouTube channel. Subscribe, check out my reels, film, and stage. No spaces in that. There's a Shattered Prism Studios. That's not me, but also it's to do with film. Okay. Shattered Prism Pics. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also at joshuapatriarco.com. There's an H on the end of Joshua because it's a freaky name.
Very important.
Joshua. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
So if you guys are wondering what this is, we're going to be going through every week discussing sci-fi, horror, comic, superhero, fantasy movies right here at Mill Iron Studios in New York. I'm going to be breaking it all down in what we're calling the Uranus Awards. You can catch us live streaming January 14th, 2018.
I want you to know I'm proud of you. You did a very good job just now.
Thank you.
I have to ask you, where Uranus, of all of the planets to pick out, because I know there's Saturn, but what's inherently funny about Uranus? I don't get the joke.
No,
why not Jupiter? Why not Pluto? The dog, he's friendly, right? Uranus? I don't, it doesn't, I mean, I feel like I should laugh, but it doesn't really do it for me.
So we have one shout out this week. Since this week's episode is supernatural based, we have a very exciting series to tell you about. My good friend Ashley Renee Brown is starring in a production called Cursed, which is an LGBT paranormal web series.
Cursed.
I know, yes. Cursed, which is being penned by, I believe also directed by Elizabeth Janelle, the author of The Travelers, which is available on Amazon Kindle. And this is also an Indiegogo funded production here, so find the show Cursed on Indiegogo. We're going to be tweeting about it on the Uranus Awards official Twitter and also my Twitter at NGNXander. You can find the info there. My friend Ashley, she is a remarkable performer. She's fearless and she is talented. It's incredible. I'm very excited for her in this production and to see her do it. So please go fund them. They are very excited about the production, and I definitely want to see it. And also fund us. We're on Indiegogo, and we need your money. Seriously,
please.
Give us money.
Oh, for the love of God, please.
That was a lovely segue to desperation.
Hey, man, it is what it is. But speaking of supernatural, we saw a little movie this week called Annabelle Creation, the prequel to Annabelle, which is a prequel to The Conjuring and Conjuring 2.
It's a prequel inside a prequel.
Yes. Prequel deception. So, yes, Annabelle Creation, which just opened up last week. Guys, let's go into non-spoiler territory. What did we think of Annabelle Creation?
It's fucking cool. But you know what really stuck out to me right at the beginning?
Okay.
This movie, because we talked about it last week, is longer than The Dark Tower. What's up with that?
It was longer than The Dark Tower. Yeah, that's what I was talking about last week with The Dark Tower feeling like a light version of what it really should have been based on the amount of prowess behind the fan base. So yeah, this is a much like smaller movie inside of its own cinematic universe. It really feels like it should be shorter, but I didn't feel like it was too long. Did
Yeah,
you?
it felt good because I mean, usually I don't even really like horror movies too much. I had no expectations whatsoever going in. I haven't seen The Conjuring. I haven't seen the first Annabelle movie.
So no point of reference here.
No, not at all. Totally blind.
That's
Now,
interesting.
When you say you don't like horror movies, is that for the same reason our dear Max doesn't like them because they scare the shit out of you, or
No,
because
no.
you just like it's not your thing?
It's just not my thing. I mean, some of them are like pretty cool, but like I can't even remember the last one I saw. I think maybe like Ethan Hawke was in it or something.
For
All I
me,
rem-
I think that the truly good horror film is like the cinematic equivalent of a unicorn, because there's so much garbage, and the like per average basis, what is good or great, as opposed to what's just disposable rehash is painful.
they don't take a lot to make, but if they make just enough, they can get back what they put into it.
And they get lazy with it for that reason.
Yeah.
I
It's
think.
true. There's so many things that just an average moviegoer can pick apart. Like, why'd they do this? Where did that come from? What's the point of that?
Well,
It's
we're
like-
all so desensitized, I think, in this culture to get all philosophical, that it takes a lot more to get under the average viewer's skin, I think, now than maybe 20 years ago.
And would you say that this movie did it?
To a degree, I think that it achieved as much effective as it did was amazing, compared to what came before it.
considering what it was, which is a sequel to a prequel, which is a prequel to a sequel. It's the fourth movie in a cinematic universe that really has no place being a cinematic universe, so it had a lot going against it.
Yeah, my litmus test if something's truly effectively scary is that the person who sees it with me is in bodily danger, because if I get truly startled, my entire I go into half seizure and start flailing my arms around. I punch
true.
this guy hard in the shoulder.
It's
this
true.
morning.
I saw this movie.
I cause people pain when I'm scared.
Arms flailing.
Yeah, and I say, you're bleeding, but this is a damn scary movie.
I saw it this morning with Josh, and he's quite accurate. He did grab me at several points.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there because I'm so used to horror movies, I don't move at all.
Yeah, for me, I mean, what makes it truly frightening is the tone and the way it carries over, not like the jump scares, but the build. And one thing I appreciated here was what a lot of the horror films fail at is within the first 5-10 minutes, you give a shit if these people
Yes.
are hurt or die, and they're sympathetic. I mean, no spoilers, but the main character is extremely sympathetic, and they establish that early on so that you're following them. And you're not like, all right, when does this sucker bite the dust?
So actually, speaking of,
Yeah.
as our guest today, would
Yeah.
you like to do a non-spoiler summary of what went on in this movie?
Oh Lord.
Oh, please.
There's a doll. It's a creepy doll, and it's
Are you telling me why so right now? Is
No,
that you?
well, you've been reading. Alex has been reading me The Disaster Artist on the subway very well, and I have his "Why So" impression stuck in
my
my head
Oh,
at
yes.
present. So.
Josh is one of the few people that calls me Alex.
Oh, hi, Annabelle.
Most people professionally know me as Xander, but Josh here has known me a long time, and he still calls me Alex.
I did not possess you. I did not.
Oh, hi, Annabelle. Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue with your plot description.
There's a nun and 6 orphans, and one of them is a.
Polio victim.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't want to say crippled, but yeah, polio victim. And 2 of them have a real bond, one of the polio victim and this cute little blonde girl. And the other 4 kind of set apart and a little bullying towards them. And they go to this isolated house with a gentleman and a wife who has half her face covered with a plastic, what was it, porcelain?
A porcelain mask.
Porcelain mask,
Almost
as
like a
if they're, yeah, with a doll. And I can't do summaries, Alex. Pick me up here.
No, actually, that pretty much is.
That's a
is
setup.
Good. But so weird.
There's a prologue I skipped there, but
weird things start to happen once they move into the house. There's.
oh yeah, the prologue you actually see the girl, the child of this couple that's obviously been haunted and disturbed by some traumatic occurrence in their lives, and you see the death of the child.
Yeah, that's not a spoiler. That was in the movie trailer.
That's in the movie trailer. I did not spoil anything.
It happens very early on.
Yeah.
Their child dies.
Yeah.
And 12 years later, they have taken a group of orphan girls into their home as a small makeshift orphanage, as it were. Pretty much the whole house is open to them to live in and explore, except for the room that used to belong to their daughter.
Don't go in that room.
Don't go in that room.
Don't go in.
It's not a good room.
Stay out.
It's a bad room.
But I kind of want to. No, don't.
And the the polio girl. What was her name? Janice, I believe was her name.
Janice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's wonderful actress.
Yeah.
She looks like identically to a baby Naomi Watts, like a 15-year-old Naomi Watts.
Yeah, the cast.
charming.
I was surprised with the cast. I enjoyed most of them. Mostly the young girls. It's hard for me with children in movies. I usually can't stand them, and especially in horror movies. But here, I wasn't annoyed by a single one of them.
You hate children.
I really do.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But
I've seen the most adorable things. It's like, get out of my way.
But when children are in movies and they're amazing, like the kid from Room, it's
What's his name?
It's Jacob Tremblay.
Tremblay.
It's
He's
wonderful.
a dapper little gentleman. He is.
It's wonderful. I love when kids do a great job in movies, and I think all the young girls in this movie did great. Also, this cast was mostly female. There were about three,
It was.
3 or 4
Was
men
the
in
the father
movie.
the only? No, and the father and the priest.
There's
Yeah.
the father and
That
the
was
priest,
it.
and then a little later in the movie there's 2 more gentlemen that appear, but they don't really have much to do.
Right.
And that's it. Yeah, it's mostly a female cast here.
We've gotten a few of those this year. We got the Beguiled and
Yes.
Wonder Woman, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. The film is, without spoiling anything, there's a lot of jump scares, as there
A
are
lot of jump scares.
as there are in films today. It's a staple of post 2000 horror. It's jump. That's what
I wouldn't
scares
say
people.
that was the most effective aspect of it, though.
It wasn't
No, it
too
wasn't.
bad though.
It wasn't too bad, but there was repetition. I think the first half was stronger than the second half. The silences and the way they set up the room and the atmosphere and the detail and the doll's house, right? And there's the stuffed animals, and that, I think that was the most effective thing going in there.
It was very real. It felt
It felt very gothic.
and also like a haunted house. Like
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
just built one for people to walk through.
That's exactly what this was. It wasn't about the doll as much as it was a good haunted house pick.
Yeah.
Like I think of like a throwback to like The Innocents from the 50s or The Haunting. Jinx! The original with Julie Harris.
Yes.
See it.
Not-
Classic.
Not that Neeson remake.
No!
Please don't watch that.
Abomination!
But yeah, the atmosphere, the ambiance, that was all really effective. The build up and stuff.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
It wasn't like all about the doll, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, they used it just enough as a set piece as opposed to the center because there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Oh, the head tilts this way, the eyes follow you. Okay, we get it.
But they used it perfectly.
Yeah, and the way they used it in relation to the child was fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's.
So are we how are we in spoilers yet?
Is there anything else you want to say in the non-spoiler section that you feel? Because at this point we're gonna put a timestamp down in the description so people can skip the spoiler section.
Do we have spoiler music, or do we have a spoiler song that we sing amongst ourselves to the point of demarcation?
Oh my god!
Spoilers!
So that's a no on that. We'll just move into spoilers.
No, that
No, it already
that was
happened.
it.
Yeah.
That
Oh
was
my
from
God.
my heart.
Oh my god!
That was from my heart, man.
sorry.
Don't
I'm
put me
sorry,
down.
everybody.
Don't put me down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially now in the spoiler section. If you would like to skip the spoiler section and go right to where you can find us online, please skip to the timestamp in the description below. Okay, so if it's okay with you, I'm gonna take it first here. There was something I was very worried about, which would have been a huge plot hole because of the last movie.
What was that, Skippy?
The Annabelle, the first Annabelle movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those of you who haven't seen it, I am going to spoil Annabelle 1 as well here. There's a couple in the 1950s or 60s that have the porcelain Annabelle doll, which appears to not be haunted at the time that they first have it. Their next door neighbors are killed by a pseudo Manson family type cult there.
Right.
The female that murders at least one of the couple is a woman named Annabelle. Annabelle then goes over to our main character's house, is holding the porcelain doll, dies and bleeds into the doll, and that's when the haunted stuff starts to happen in that first Annabelle movie.
Name.
What I was confused about is why this was going to be a prequel to that, if that was the point where the Annabelle doll started to be haunted, I guess. But
I feel like more than anything, it was a chance to wipe the slate clean and draw the story from scratch.
it was, but then at the very end of the movie, they explain it, and it's actually not a plot hole. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because in Annabelle Creation, first thing we see in the movie is the father character making the Annabelle doll, and it clearly says limited edition, 1 out of 100.
Right.
So there's 100 of these dolls.
Right, this is the original.
And then his daughter dies. We find out his daughter was, of course, named Annabelle. And
the adult actress in the first one is also named Annabelle, correct? Am I right?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
So
that's cute.
so this couple, they lose their daughter, and a ghost appears to be trying to reach out to them, and in tiny little snippets they get to communicate with what they believe is their daughter, and the ghost asks for permission to enter, like it's the last Annabelle doll that they decided to just keep.
That flashback was spooky, man.
It was, pretty
That
spooky
was.
flashback.
I gotta give a shout out to the mother, the actress.
Oh, yeah.
She was extraordinary.
That was Miranda Otto,
Miranda Otto.
from Lord of the Rings.
That's her.
Yeah, she played
I am no man.
Eowyn. Yeah,
That was. Oh my god.
Yeah, she's great. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so the doll is now possessed with what they believe is the soul of their daughter, and it's not. It's a demon. It's a dick demon.
A dick
who
demon.
who loves to fuck with people. And what appears to be the case is that this demon needs a soul to feed upon, and it attempts to feed upon the soul of the mother, played by Miranda Otto, but fails to do so. And they're able to lock the doll inside of a closet which is lined with holy water, crosses, and pages from the Bible, and sort of keep it dormant there.
But why keep it in the house?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
isn't there some isolated sanctuary where you could have the exact same thing without keeping it in a locked room in your? I did.
Burn it, bury it.
Burn anything.
So, continuing on, the doll takes the soul of the polio girl. That's the end of the film. It manages to grab the soul of the polio girl, Janice, and she is now calling herself Annabelle.
Which is tragic because you get the sense by the end of the film that she's lost herself, as she's gone. She's essentially dead for all intents and purposes.
Demons taking over.
And she was such a sweet, innocent, character, and I think actually that gives it more stakes for me. That they don't just get wiped out. It's like her inner being is vanquished.
Exactly. So this little girl, Janice, is now calling herself Annabelle, and she's adopted by the couple from the first Annabelle movie who gets slaughtered by the cult. And they bring her home as a little girl. 12 years later is when they get slaughtered by adult Annabelle.
And her boyfriend.
And her boyfriend.
Charles Manson.
Annabelle, who was formerly
yeah.
Janice, the girl with polio. And when she dies holding the main character's doll in the first Annabelle movie, she bleeds into it, and then that doll becomes possessed. And another character dies holding that doll in the first Annabelle movie, and I guess
So many dolls.
the demon has fed on a soul and will be dormant for 12 years.
The dick demon.
The dick
Say
demon.
it right.
The
Dick
dick
demon.
demon
Call it
will
for
be,
what it is.
will have fed on the soul and be dormant again for 12 years. So
Yeah.
that was what I was worried about, was that they were going to make that a huge plot hole. But they explained it, I think, pretty well.
So does this mean that she's walking around and just freely giving people polio now?
Apparently, I don't know.
Like she can
that's a good
walk, but
question.
she probably still has it, right?
Is it like extracted from her body? Is it part of the black stuff that she vomits into?
I also
The
found
black tar seemed par for the course now.
I found
in
it cute
possession movies.
that this movie featured a Raggedy Ann doll, because in real life, the real Annabelle doll is a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
Which I believe is still within the basement of the Warrens' house.
Oh my!
That still gets blessed twice a month by a priest. That's
At least
That's
according
a
to
lot of work just
what,
to
the
keep
first
that.
Annabelle
I
movie.
mean, yeah. In the Conjuring movies, they Ed and Lorraine Warren have a basement full of paranormal objects that they just collect and keep from harming people, and the Annabelle doll is in a big glass case. So I understand why they didn't go with a Raggedy Ann doll, because it would look like a parody if they did.
Right.
But yeah, the doll is effectively creepy, but like a little too creepy.
Yeah, and kind of has that soulless quality, definitely.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the puppets for a second? Can we pause and talk about those puppets?
Oh yeah, little
Please.
girls, take this room
Take it away,
full
man.
of puppets and sleep
No,
in there.
there's these two puppets that rise out of the darkness of the abyss, and they're like a Punch and Judy, but they are fucking terrifying.
He was
My whole body was shaking because it was literally somebody plucked the images from my nightmares of these puppets. And they were gone too soon. I was like, if the movie was just the puppets, best horror movie of all time.
Yeah. What did you not like about the movie?
I didn't like the repetition of some of the jump scares. I think towards the second half, and some as it always is, there's some illogical moves that you're just kind of silently screaming to yourself. Why are you doing that, child? Child, don't do that.
Some illogical move.
Illogical move, right. But it's like the better horror films you get less of that. But this one there were like when what's the polio girl's name?
Janice.
When Janice is using the electrical ramp to travel up and down the stairs, it's like. That takes too much time, man. And she's being chased by the spirit. Just dive on it to take your risk.
Or crawl.
Or crawl. And then she, the button turns and she goes all the way down and then starts to pull her back up and she just like stays there. It's like you could unlock the seatbelt and jump the fuck off the device and crawl, do anything, scream. But she's like, oh no, and she goes all the way back up the stairs. This is like takes a minute of screen time going directly back towards your tormentor. When it just seems, all right, I get it, you have polio, you're crippled, but there's a way out of this, man, and it wasn't taken, and it's that kind of stuff that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. That was like one of the biggest moments of like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Especially, like they used a whole like maybe minute, 2 minutes setting up that whole thing.
Right.
Like earlier in the movie because she can't get up the stairs. And it's very transparent that I guess she's gonna get caught on it.
Get caught, yeah.
One thing I didn't care for, which is the same problem I had with the last movie, is the unclear abilities of this demon. Like apparently it needs the doll as to be like a conduit so it can do things, but it clearly chases people and tortures people and does things without holding the doll. But like sometimes
I didn't need that to be clearly defined. I feel like if you spend too much exposition on the parameters of the powers of the demon, it becomes too predictable.
I didn't need much of an explanation.
Yeah.
I didn't need them to explain it. I just needed them to like stick to it. Like,
give it some rules.
Does it need the doll or does it not need the doll? Does it need the doll near? Does it need to be in proximity? Does it need to be in one piece?
But that takes away some of the mystique, I would say, and some of the unpredictability that they did have throughout. And it kept. I mean, I think it would have stopped the plot flat if they. And there was no way to. How do you establish that? There's really, unless they have direct contact with the spirit or there's a dialogue, or a priest comes and I know what this demon can do or can't do. It's like that. I think that would have been a little contrived.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm like, what I'm saying is, it chases people and tortures people without the doll.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's
know.
more of an omnipresent spirit, and I mean, like when the doll gets thrown down the well, and then she comes back, and the doll is magically reappeared. Is it the same doll, or does the demon have an endless supply of Annabelle dolls? You can just crap out.
It seems pretty clear that it's just the one doll here, but.
Then why is the second doll not wet? Why is there no sign that she was in the well?
Well, if you listened, you heard the doll clearly make a thud on the bottom, so the well was dry.
Oh, I didn't hear that. No.
But if you don't need the doll to move around, why not just not use it?
Because the movie is called Annabelle.
Yeah.
Creation.
Well, then
it's on a poster.
I mean, it's just a device to set up the
device.
scares.
And that's why I appreciate they didn't overuse it. It was present, but it was sparingly. And I think actually the scariest part with the doll was the entrance. When the girl opens...
You see it for the first time.
And just bathed in darkness, sitting back,
yeah.
just staring. And she walks away and then throws the sheet over it, and then it begins to slowly creep. Like,
that was good, yeah.
That was good.
I thought for a second they were gonna do the cop out move. It was gonna be like one of her orphan friends, like, with a sheet on. But no, the sheet comes down slowly, and then there's nothing.
There's nothing, and that was so much more effective than if like blood spurted out. They pull The Shining, or the two little come and play with us, Danny, forever.
Anything like that wasn't a jump scare was done really well, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and
like,
most of that was in the first half.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was constantly looking for things like in the corner, like things that were out of focus. Sometimes
it had a Hitchcockian element to that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Or I think of the way the house is portrayed in Rebecca, where there's a sense of kind of eerie melancholy and loss without shoving it in your face, just to creep you out just enough where you're both scared but also interested in the characters.
Yeah,
and you have both going at once.
That's Alfred Hitchcock's movie Rebecca, which won Best Picture. It's an amazing
masterpiece. Check it out.
Check it out. With Joan Fontaine.
Joan Fontaine
and Laurence Olivier.
So Laurence Olivier.
Yeah, wonderful film. The first Annabelle, if I were a gambling man, I'm not confirming this by any means.
Are you a gambling man?
Oh, my goodness.
Answer the question, Alex. Are you a gambling man?
I'm not going to answer that. I would be willing to bet that the second half of Annabelle was filmed in the same building that they did Rosemary's Baby. I'm pretty sure they did because it looks identical. The interior,
or could this be the art design? That could have been the direct model after. That would be cool if it was, though.
It looks practically identical.
A little inspiration.
Yeah, no doubt.
This film, I don't think they filmed in the same place as any specific horror movie, but it reminded me a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Straw Dogs. Like
I think especially the setup with the
isolated-
bus as well. That's immediately what I thought of was Texas
The
Chainsaw.
isolation was
palpable.
Was
Yeah.
palpable.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where one of the girls is traveling to the well, and you can tell it's very far away from the house. It improves the ambiance of they are remote. They are away from help.
And that's not only that, but the fact that they're orphans.
Yes.
And they're longing for some kind of family connection, and this is all they have is each other. And the nun serves as mother, father, protector, provider, and having the religious aspect of it, this demon being faced down by this, and she's wonderful as well.
The nun.
The nun. Yeah.
She did a pretty good job too.
Yeah.
Well, they hit like a lot of good points there. Like you were talking about, they're outside. You have this like kind of the hills have eyes almost feeling.
Yeah.
They have a girl's room, like a doll's room. They have hallway scenes like dark, like it looks like it's going into just an empty abyss. And then they also have the shed too, where like just fucking anything can happen.
Right.
You got
I love the way that polio girl, I keep forgetting her name. Janice, I love you. Okay. Janice gets pulled up to the ceiling from the stairs and then gets just dropped violently.
Yeah.
And it's insult to injury because the next time we see her, she's in a wheelchair. She goes from being, partially...
walking with a crutch.
Right.
Crutch,
and she's trying to pass, be normal and not have anybody treat her any differently, but then the wheelchair pronounces her feeling of being limited and isolated. That no one. There's a really moving scene on the couch between her and her friend saying, "No one's gonna want me now.
Mm-hmm.
We were gonna stick together if we were adopted, but now, nobody wants a burden of a girl in a wheelchair, and it's heartbreaking. And you don't get to see that much character nuance in a genre picture like this, so I appreciated that because you care. Then you care what happens, and it doesn't take that much. But scripts get lazy, and it's like skip to the next jump scare. But no, they take the time to sit with these young girls and make you understand their plight. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, is there anything else we want to talk about in the spoiler section here before we move on to where is this going?
We talked about the puppets, yeah.
We did talk about the puppets.
And
we made sure.
Talk about the puppets.
We cannot forget the puppets.
The puppets.
They are important. We need a spin-off.
Spin-off.
Puppet spin-off.
Puppet spin-off.
The puppets from Annabelle Creation get their own movie.
What are their names?
We're gonna call them the Flurn and Badurbadur.
Flurn and Badurbadur.
Yeah, why not? So, where do you think this is going? What's the future of this cinematic universe?
They gotta tie in the nun. Because when I met the character of protecting these girls, I said, when are they gonna? Because they have that one moment where the picture, and the father of the house looks in and says, "Who's that?" "Oh, this is sister, so and so and so and so." And then he tilts the picture a certain way, and you see out of the corner on the right, the nun from from the Conjuring movie, Conjuring 2, right?
Which may I just pause it there?
Yeah.
What was up with that? She's talking about, oh yeah, I know these nice nuns.
It's tying into the past film. And
But
saying,
there's like this creepy face there, and he's not at all
I
like,
don't know who that is.
oh yeah, you know these two people, but hey, who's that monster?
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's a movie called just The Nun. Isn't that right? Is this
forthcoming or?
Yeah. Oh, actually, yes. I'm looking it up right now. It is in fact The Nun.
That's got to be the next
And
movie in the series, right?
It stars Thaisa Farmiga, who's the little sister of Vera Farmiga from
Little
Conjuring,
Vera, yeah,
from Conjuring 1 2.
Yeah.
That might be what this is.
No
like a tie
kidding.
into that.
Yeah, because that was a big Easter egg.
If I'm not
definitely.
mistaken, it might be. Who knows? It's got Damian Bashir in it as well.
Damian Bashir.
You remember the?
What you have a nickname for him, don't you? What's the nickname for
It's
him?
your nickname.
No, you said it first. It was
I
the
did.
year because he was nominated for A Better Life. And what did you say?
Who was supposed to take his place?
I think he took Leo's place for J. Edgar, which I thought.
No. Because I remember being upset that he took someone's place because I don't think.
Oh no, Fassbender for Shame.
Yes, Fassbender for
Oh.
Shame.
Yeah.
Damian Bashir was nominated for a movie called A Better Life for an Oscar for
2011.
Best Actor instead
Yeah.
of Michael Fassbender for a movie
Yeah.
called Shame, and I referred to him as Damian Random Mexican Bashir.
So offensive.
It's so
that's so
offensive,
bad.
and it sucks because
He's a very accomplished actor.
I've come to enjoy him very much.
Yes,
since
he's
then.
wonderful.
It's
Hateful
just-
Eight, he was terrific.
It's just that the other four actors in that category were so predicted and expected to get nominated, and then
Right.
randomly there's this guy who comes the fuck out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for that name. It's horribly racist, and I
It
apologize
really
profusely
is.
for it.
Good. I'm glad. And I'm glad I brought that to your attention.
I'm still blaming you for it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it
No,
was you.
I would never say that. That's awful.
By the way, don't quote me on this forthcoming movie, The Nun, being a tie into the Conjuring series. I don't know for a fact if it is, but if it is, that would be a really cool premise.
Yeah.
So, do you think there will be a third Conjuring, a third Annabelle?
I don't know how much farther they can take this premise. I think this might be the peak.
Yeah, they could take the Conjuring 3. They could do the Conjuring 3.
They can do the Conjuring 3 because that has a real serialized feel to it between
Because-
Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, and
That's-
because those are real people, right?
Well, coming from somebody who
They are.
hasn't even seen any of them, you said in one of the Conjurings that they have a basement full of paranormal
Yes,
stuff.
They do,
That's right.
including the Annabelle porcelain doll, which
There you
is in its own glass case and blessed by a priest every
It's a
two.
very savvy marketing ploy to say we have an infinite amount of movies that can come from
There you
this.
go.
You know?
And the Annabelle doll in real life is still sitting there. There's really no sequel that is possible because it's just been sitting there all this time and not
Yeah.
done anything else. And Ed Warren has passed away. I believe Lorraine Warren is still alive.
Yeah.
So they could do a third Conjuring, but no more Annabelle movies.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to top this one.
There's no way to do so.
Right.
They would have to take just 100% liberties, maybe make Annabelle the official bad guy of Conjuring 3, which maybe they've been kind of building into.
Or give that demon, which we saw throughout the movie, a name or like something.
Sure, like get
It does have a name.
Actually, yeah,
Conjuring 2. Didn't Vera Farmiga? I know your name. That was a scene, wasn't it?
Are we talking about the Annabelle demon?
Is it the same demon that haunts?
It's based on a real demon, I think.
Yeah,
Are there two different demons in Conjuring and Annabelle?
I gotta be honest. I've seen the first Conjuring
Yeah.
twice or 3 times maybe,
Yeah.
but I've only seen Conjuring 2 once.
Shame on you.
I don't like those movies.
I love them.
I really hate
The
them.
second one's actually particularly wonderful, I think.
I hate Ed and Lorraine Warren is the thing, and I hate
Oh.
those movies.
Oh.
Um, so why don't we go ahead and move into everybody's favorite part of this podcast, the nominations
For the what, Alex?
for Annabelle Creation for the Uranus Award.
Uranus!
It is the broadcast from Uranus after all. Mike, do you nominate Annabelle for anything?
Well, let's see what I got here. Definitely coolest costumes, makeup, hairstyling. Hits all those points. Real
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I would give it those two. I don't think we have like a production design award, but that could tie into this and to the costumes thing.
Yeah, I mean, if a horror movie is lacking in any of those departments, it's not really going to work, right?
No.
Sure.
I got most believable CGI. I mean, I actually cannot think of any specific moments that had CGI.
The
But
wife with the scar in the eye.
wife's
Oh
face.
yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
that was
But it looked
excellent.
pretty good.
It did.
Yeah, and I'll talk about the CGI in my nominations. But go ahead.
Most terrifying movie. There you go. Jump out of your seat. Definitely got me jumping.
Sure.
Especially with that first jump scare of the doll. It's getting whisked away.
Oh, that wasn't the first one for me. The first one was with the dad jumping into frame to scare the child. That scared the crap out of me.
minutes in.
think you can hide from me?
It's like a sweet moment. You're just like, oh my god.
Oh, no, yeah. That was...
Let's see. We got, best Easter egg, the Raggedy Ann doll. I thought that was pretty
Yes. Actually, yeah. I'm gonna add that to mine as well.
cool. I barely know anything about the country. I think you told me that, or maybe Max.
I did tell you that last week.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other awards?
Best movie poster. I thought that was pretty sweet.
Sure.
It wasn't like,
Oh.
well, I guess there was, the one I'm thinking of is the one with the girl holding the doll in front of the well, not just the creepy face. 'Cause
Yeah. That had a ring feel to it.
Yeah,
bit.
but it's brighter. It's not just black. You can't see anything.
Right.
It gives you a sense of kind of what the movie's about.
Sure.
I don't know if either of you have seen this at any movie theaters you attend regularly, but at the Regal near my place, there was an Annabelle creation cardboard poster that was a floor poster. It stood on its own, and it was made of vinyl. And a reflector vinyl, and wherever you moved, like when you walk past it, the doll was looking at you.
Oh man,
the doll's head would move. That was
nice.
really cool.
What I want to know is there anybody around the country getting hired to play Annabelle in the corridors of the theater? Pop out, hey kids, take a picture with the Annabelle doll.
All of the tingler where the seats vibrate and stuff.
No, like an actor dressed as Annabelle,
Just
walking
jump
around
out
the theater. To jump out. Yeah, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah, maybe. Do you have any other awards, Mike?
Nope, that's it.
So I'm gonna give it costumes, and yeah, I'm gonna
choice.
add best Easter egg for the Raggedy Ann doll because yeah, like I said, the Annabelle doll in real life is a Raggedy Ann doll, which is just hilarious. Most terrifying movie, funniest moment.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about this funniest moment. We had a special moment between us, didn't we?
There is this movie's terror was mostly well done.
No.
But there was a moment which was so hilarious that Josh and I broke out in
spontaneous
glorious
laughter. Sustained for a good
I'm
2 minutes,
sure
I would
the other
say.
3 people in the theater were laughing their asses off as well.
They were.
Let me explain the scene.
Not like us, though.
Janice goes into Annabelle's bedroom, which, as earlier mentioned, was off limits. But
stay out of that room!
But I'll talk about this in a sec. But she goes into the room, and she sees the ghost of the dead girl, Annabelle, her actual ghost, not the doll. And she has a very short conversation with her.
It's friendly. It's a little girl ghost.
She's just looking at the window, tapping at it like a little creepy ghost girl
little
does.
creepy ghost
And
girl.
Janice asks Ghost Annabelle, "What do you want?" And then Ghost Annabelle
turns
her head around all of the Exorcist and
It's
puts
all
on blackface,
burned and crispy.
giant
crispy
orange
chicken.
eyes, and goes,
Your soul!
And we
died!
Oh my
Oh,
god.
man.
Oh my!
You're gonna
It was
hate me.
camp at its finest. At its finest.
And that was particularly funny for me because one of my all-time favorite comedians, Elijah Schlesinger, she does that in her stand-up comedy special War Paint. She talks about being a girl waking up the next morning after sleeping with a guy, and the guy's like, "What do you want?" And she goes, "Your soul!" Exactly like the girl did in that movie. And that hit me so hard. I could not stop laughing, and I couldn't enjoy
It was so over the top.
I couldn't even see what was happening in the rest of the movie because I was just blinded
It
by my
broke
laughter.
the fabric of the screen. It was so campy and delicious.
So yes, absolute funniest
Yeah.
moment. I couldn't contain myself.
No, it was a beautiful
You're
thing.
gonna hate me.
Why is this?
I thought I was pretty scared by that.
We're very sick people. I don't know what that says about us. Another person's terror is our piss our pants laughter.
You were really scared by that?
Yeah,
Oh my
actually,
God.
that got me a little bit.
All right.
Oh, that's. I mean,
Somebody got paid for that dialogue too. Think about that.
It was so funny. And yeah, I'm gonna give last award is most terrifying moment. The first time we see Annabelle when we open it up and she's in the closet full of Bible pages. That was a truly legit terror moment, and I give the movie props for that. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the doll apparently has limited powers, right? Because it's passing notes to the girl so that you can get her to open the door.
No, I thought that was just more like a psychological game because that's what she knew as a kid. They established at the prologue that's what she played with her father.
Oh,
Yeah,
technically, it's not her though. It's the demon.
It's the demon who
Well,
knows.
it's her. She's the conduit, so the demon has the girl's memories. I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just another part that confused me about the movie. Like how
Well, it's
much,
not clear,
how
yeah.
much power does this doll have before it's like being contacted with another human, like put into contact with another human?
No, that's messy, no doubt.
Yeah, that was messy. Sorry, I interrupted you. What are your awards?
My awards? I actually have to say, give props to David F. Sandberg. Did I say that right?
The director?
The director, because I think elevating this kind of by the books, what oftentimes is a cash grab, a prequel of a horror movie that wasn't well received to begin with. That was a spin-off, right, to begin with. So I think to bring it to the level he did, major props, because so much of what the film did well was tonally and build up, and that was purely the directorial choices, I think.
So like maybe a little better than Sharknado.
Slightly,
a lot better
but
than
Sharknado too. I mean, there's no contest.
So you're giving it a best director nomination?
Yeah, I think I'd sneak it in there at the 5 slot. I would say actress in a supporting role for Talitha Bateman. I think she's a wonderful new discovery. She's gonna work.
Janice?
She is gonna work.
Cool.
I think she's like 15 years old. Dynamite.
They're gonna play Janice? I'd say she's like 10.
No, she's 15.
Really?
Yeah, she did. I thought she was wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I said,
Looks a lot
Naomi
younger.
Watts, Dead Ringer.
Sure.
Funniest moment for the aforementioned Your Soul. That was comedy gold. I would have to say best fight sequence for the puppets. 'Cause they come out and they're just going at each other. Priority number 2 was scaring the girl. Priority number 1 is just beating the stuffing, punching Judy all the way. I think saddest death. Because I think technically for Janice, yeah, she dies. She's gone, basically.
Yeah.
And that was tragic. There's no closure. There's no, she escaped and found a family. No, at the end the show, she got adopted, but she's been completely taken over. And I think that's, you go to really care about her, so that's tragic. I think, actually also the mother's fate is gruesome.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not only,
Cut
and that's
half up on the wall.
Yeah. And I was just to say that's probably a terrifying moment for me. Both scenes with the flashback where her face gets ripped off and her eye gouged out, the right side of her or left side of her face, and then the next time you see her, basically she's like nailed to the wall and disemboweled, like half her body's gone, and then all of a sudden she's like a ghost spirit, half possessed by the demon, or I don't know if it's just her ghost, but she's like seeing her daughter killed before her eyes, and then try to bring her back, and then get your daughter the demon rips her face off, and then she gets this. That was rough, man.
That was devastating.
So that's for scary moment. I think biggest surprise, the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong Award, I would say has to be that it was as good as it was. That's the surprise.
I like that twist.
Yeah. And on the fly, I decided I'll invent this award for the
An invented
prestigious Uranus Awards. I'd say the award for most blatantly excessive stupidity award would go to any time a child stays near or enters the room with the doll and messes with shit. It's like you go in the room, right? Anybody who sees that thing, it just takes once. You run the fuck out of that room, man.
That reminds me, nobody ever tries to destroy the doll.
No.
They just try to get rid of it, like throw it away.
Anything. You can do anything, except when the little blonde girl shoots it with that, what was it? The
Little toy
pop-up
gun.
ball gun, yeah.
You just reminded me, by the way, from creating this brand new award here.
Yeah.
We have a
Most
new
blatantly excessive stupidity award, yeah. That's,
we have a new
clear.
award for the Uranus Awards, and that would be Best Director. Mike, by any chance, off the top of your head, do you have any Best Director nominations from our previously discussed movie, Spider-Man?
Oh, this is new? This is the new one?
Apes. Yeah, this is the new one.
Oh, okay.
Or Planet of the Apes or something.
I gotta tell you, I'm not even good enough with director names.
That's okay.
Michael Bay, right?
Oh, my
Best
goodness.
director.
I have 2 so far. John
Patty
Watts.
Jenkins has to be on there.
Yeah, for Wonder Woman, no doubt. But for the episodes that we've done so far,
Oh, you have another Wonder Woman.
I've got John Watts for Spider-Man: Homecoming and Matt Reeves for War of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I'll be giving a few more, like Bong Joon-ho for Okja and Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman. But we'll talk about those in the future. guys, would we nominate Annabelle Creation for Best Picture?
No.
It depends on the number of slots. If it's an infinite
There's as
number
many.
of slots. If it was like 5 to 10, like the Academy, I would say no.
Yeah.
But
Definitely not.
that's not disrespect. I mean, it's
No. Not Best
solid,
Picture.
above grade horror film.
Yeah.
Not to say it's bad,
No,
but
it's
not
very
Best
respectable.
Picture.
Yeah, not Best Picture. It's been a strong year so far.
It has. There've been some real stinkers like Valerian, but they have been much fewer and more far between than previous years.
Last year was brutal.
Last year was
up
brutal.
until Oscar
Last year
season.
was the most brutal year since 2011. I think.
I would say yes. Yeah.
Actually, would you recommend this movie to anybody?
Yeah, if you're a horror enthusiast, if you like psychological, because I think it's not what people expect. I think that it's more rare to find something that plays on the mind and the senses as opposed to just shoves the gore, shoves the blood in your face. Because people want to get, we have shorter attention spans these days, but to have the patience to build up something truly scary is a skill.
Yeah. I'd recommend it. I know you two haven't seen Annabelle 1.
I thought you argued with me today.
I was pretty sure you did.
that we discussed it.
I
I have
did.
no memory of this.
I thought you did, but
Wiped away.
I can say from someone who has seen the first Annabelle and does like it,
Yeah.
this was a satisfying sequel. It was satisfying.
Would
the
you
way they
say
tied it
would you
in
say
the
that
end.
it retroactively improves the original?
A little bit, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
And I love the tie-in at the end to the first one. It made sense.
Yeah.
And I was so worried that it wouldn't. So I absolutely recommend this. It's the best horror movie we've had this year so far.
So would you say it's like a loose end tied up?
Oh, the Annabelle story is totally tied up unless they want to take liberties and invent a story for The Conjuring 3.
Which would be just gilding the lily, I think. It'd be too much.
They can if they want to. I don't know what other big story they would want to do for The Conjuring 3. Maybe they could have Ed and Lorraine Warren's experience at the Amityville house, but there are so many Amityville movies.
Yeah, it's been done
Yeah.
to death.
It's
there's
they're still making Amityville movies. I think there was one this year. I'm pretty sure there was.
really. Oh.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Does it have Rod Steiger on the toilet?
I wish it did.
No, I'm thinking it's in Scary Movie 2. James
yeah.
Woods on the toilet. Thank
Oh.
you.
Was that James Woods?
James Woods playing the Rod Steiger part in Amityville Horror. Yeah, that was James. It was supposed to be Marlon Brando. And then Brando got sick last minute, and James Woods came in. Remember?
The Scary Movie
The power of Christ compels you, and then diarrhea.
The
that
Scary
stuff.
Movie movies are a little bit of a burden to me. I don't.
It's great though. That's my favorite.
All
of
the scary
very
movies.
The
much.
second one's fun though. The second one has moments.
Is it Scary Movie
Let
2?
me use my strong hand. Fan it coming through.
Well, I need to look this up. This is gonna bother me.
What?
If that was James Woods.
It's James Woods.
It's very important to
I-
know
I
whether
know
it's James
this.
Woods
Oh, yeah,
shitting on the
James Woods.
Oh, it
toilet.
was James Woods. No
Thank
kidding.
you.
I'm sorry. I had to be sure. And it was Andy Richter as the other one too.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I don't have faith in you.
Oh.
Any final thoughts?
Oh.
Anything at all?
Puppets. Puppets were
Puppets.
terrifying.
Don't forget
I
about
cannot-
puppets.
I cannot reiterate that enough.
Oh, surprise hit for me. I really liked it. It was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. Josh, thank you so much for coming in as a last minute.
It was a pleasure. This
film
was a
to the
blast.
podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
But before we end it,
Before we end it,
what would you rate it? Out of 5.
Out of 5 stars. what would you
Stars?
rate it?
And you get half stars too.
not donuts or
You can do half a star if you
dragons
want.
or something. I'd say I can do point, like 0.5, 0.7, or has to be straight up.
0.5.
Half.
You know,
Half.
1.5.
3.
3?
I
Three
give
solid stars?
3, maybe a 3.5, but we just saw it this morning. But as of now, a solid 3.
Yeah.
Thinking 2.5 is 50%. I'd say this is, if I had to grade it, it's like 60, 65, 70 around there, which is a cut above, 95% of horror films that come out. So
Oh, good.
it's not quite the Babadook or,
Yeah. For me, it earned that other half star. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 stars.
3.5. What about you, sir?
Same, 3.5.
3.5?
Not like quite up there, but
Oh, I'm on
like,
the low end. I'm surprised.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I mean, like it was satisfying
Close.
for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been
Thank
really
you,
fun
buddy.
having you here today.
Oh, thank you.
Guys, next week we are off, so please tune in the week after. We will let you know on our Twitter what that next episode is going to be. You can find us on our website, www.uranus-awards.com, where you can also get more information on the awards, Remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Uranus Awards, and as we're leaving our homes, feel free to give us money. Head over to our Indiegogo page. Visit us on Patreon. We need that moolah, ladies and gentlemen. All that information is on our website. And don't forget to view our live stream of the Uranus Awards on January 14th, 2018. Thanks.
Wait. Uranus. I got it.
Oh, my God. It's so obvious.
Oh, brilliant.
My God.
Uranus, I got it.
I had no idea this was happening.
It took an hour, but it finally came. Okay.
Yes.
It's a butt joke.
Oh, it's a butt joke.
And again, don't forget to support the upcoming show Cursed. We will put all that information on our Twitter as well. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode on Annabelle Creation, Going In Deep, broadcast from Uranus. We will be back in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening again, guys. It's been Going In Deep, Going Dark.